Have you ever thought about how things would have panned out if that sorting ceremony went the other way? Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're looking at what if Harry Potter were placed in Slytherin. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this essay, we're taking a deep dive into how Harry's story would have changed had he been in Slytherin instead of Gryffindor. It's clear in the first book and movie that the sorting ceremony is of great importance, and readers and viewers had already been conditioned, like Harry, to keep their fingers crossed that he'd end up in Gryffindor.
Not Slytherin.
Not Slytherin, eh? Are you sure?
Even this early on, we could tell that Slytherin was no good, and definitely not the right match for our young hero. The sorting had deliberated for a good while before proclaiming that the boy who lived would officially join the House of Godric Gryffindor. It even debated, much to the chagrin of Harry and readers alike, placing him in Slytherin instead, saying he could be great there. But in the end, of course, the hat listened to Harry's pleas of not Slytherin, and the rest is Hogwarts A History.
Better be Gryffindor!
Throughout the series, and especially in Chamber of Secrets, Harry debates whether the hat made the right choice after all, especially considering that he was able to speak Parseltongue in the dueling club, which made people question if he was the heir of Slytherin. This further leads him to wonder at how different things would be had he been placed in that house instead.
What are you playing at?
We all know, of course, that there's no place for Harry but Gryffindor, and he gets the confirmation he needs when the Sword of Gryffindor presents itself to him. But over the years, there has been plenty of speculation and fanfiction about how things would have looked had Harry been sorted into Slytherin. So without further ado, let's dive into it. One thing that would have changed right away was Harry's friendships with Ron and Hermione.
Holy cricket! You're Harry Potter! I'm Hermione Granger. And you are?
Ron Weasley.
Pleasure.
For the most part, we don't see many close friendships happening across houses, and we can't imagine that Harry would have made the effort to foster a friendship with Ron if they hadn't been in the same house and the same dormitory. Keep in mind they only met for the first time earlier on the day of the sorting ceremony. Now, we're not saying that Harry would have automatically befriended Malfoy and his cronies, just because he was in Slytherin.
It's true then, what they're saying on the train. Harry Potter has come to Hogwarts.
Harry Potter.
We already saw his skepticism of Malfoy when they first met in Madame Malkin's, so we know he was a good enough judge of character to not fall into that kind of friendship.
You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort. I can help you there. I think I can tell the wrong sort for myself, thanks.
That said, he realistically would have had a totally different set of friends, likely within his house. We really only see the worst of the Slytherin students in Harry's year, but that may very well have a lot to do with perspective. Are we to assume they were all bad? Is it possible that Harry could have met some nice, ambitious, but not evil buddies in his dorm? We'll never know. Because of the animosity between the two houses, we can't imagine that Harry would have had a positive relationship with Ron and Hermione at all. They may very well have even ended up as enemies.
Piss off.
Which means that Harry would have surely failed most of his classes, because we all know he depended on Hermione to do most of the work for him. Of course, he probably wouldn't have any connection with the Weasley family, and likely wouldn't end up matched with Ginny either. Talk about a different life path.
I can stay hidden up here too if you like.
As the story goes on, we learn that pretty much everyone important in Harry's life was in Gryffindor. His parents, Sirius, Lupin, Hagrid, and Dumbledore, and the list goes on.
Help will always be given at Hogwarts to those who deserve it.
Because being in Slytherin will mark Harry as being different from his parents, and presumably the rest of his family, We can only imagine the internal crisis he would have had trying to find his place in the world. He's already uncertain about his placement in Gryffindor because of his ability to speak Parseltongue and his connection with Voldemort. Considering Voldemort and most of his Death Eaters were in Slytherin, Harry would have a hard time contending with the fact that people from his own house killed his parents, along with many people that they loved. This conflict likely would have been a major part of the storyline.
Don't you turn your back on me, Harry Potter! I want you to look at me when I kill you! I want to see the light leave your eyes!
As it is, Harry has a complicated relationship with his potions master Severus Snape. But how would that have changed had Harry been sorted into Slytherin?
Clearly, fame isn't everything, is it, Mr. Potter?
You see, much of Snape's resentment of Harry comes from the fact that Harry reminds him of his Gryffindor father, who in Snape's eyes stopped him from being with the woman he loved. Snape is known, however, to favor the Slytherins, and consistently gives them better treatment because he is their head of house. Would this preferential bias have extended to Harry as well? Might his place in Slytherin allow Severus to see more of Lily within Harry?
You have your mother's eyes.
Or would Harry still have been a sore spot because of his resemblance to his father? We have a feeling that these two would have had to contend with a whole new set of issues.
My father was a great man.
Your father was a swine.
Now when it comes down to it, the big question here is whether being sorted into Slytherin would fundamentally change Harry's character. Unlike so many famed heroes before him, Harry never really toyed with going over to the dark side, staying steadfast in his beliefs and his sense of good and evil. Harry's entire journey is centered on his fight against the dark wizard Voldemort, but if he was surrounded by people who supported you-know-who, could he possibly have been swayed in the other direction?
Harry? No! What are you doing here?
Quiet!
It surely would have been challenging to oppose the views of his classmates and their families.
Are you going to kill me, Harry?
In the end, though, we don't think Harry has an evil bone in his body. Throughout the series, Harry was inevitably compared to Tom Riddle by other characters. But while they may have had their similarities, they have a fundamental difference.
You're the heir of Slytherin.
Harry is fueled by love and bravery, while Voldemort bases his choices on fear and hatred. That is a theme that's touched upon time and time again throughout the books and movies.
Come on, Tom. Let's finish this the way we started it. Together.
Even when it's not convenient for him, Harry has a saving people thing, and is always inclined to help the downtrodden and the underdogs. From the very beginning, Harry showed his moral character in siding with people like the Weasleys, Neville and Hagrid over the slick and popular Malfoy. Harry never shows himself to be easily swayed by the opinions of others. Who knows, maybe it would have had the opposite effect, and he'd actually convince some Slytherins to come to the good side. What do you think? How would the books and movies have been different with Harry in Slytherin? Feel free to weigh in the comments.